Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of TFT Study Hall. This time, it's the beginning of Set 14 Cyber City with your hosts. My name is Frodan.
And I'm Dishsoap.
It's not just Dishsoap. That is two-time world champion Dishsoap. Congratulations, man. Our last time we did an episode, we said that you were going to win again. So you actually went and did that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we always you always gotta hype yourself up, hype your co-podcaster up. But yeah, I mean, it's great to actually win again. I don't know, just yeah. I mean, I gave my thoughts on it like a few times already, but I don't know. It's kind of surreal again, kind of like the last time.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of time. You did some immediate interviews. You
Yeah.
talked to some people afterwards, but now that the dust has settled, what's it like being one of the only two-time world champions in TFT?
Uh, I mean, it definitely okay. If it definitely feels different this time because it's like it was like kind of like I mean I wouldn't say it's like expected, but like people were definitely like knew I could do it. It's hype that I won. Feels like really satisfying just because I worked so hard for it. But now like going back to just streaming is just like it's just like weird because like
Yeah, why is it weird?
oh I mean it's like on one hand it's good that like I feel like I have like more authority now like than before, which is like
More
kind of neat.
authority, as if you didn't have it already.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like it's also weird because like whenever I'm like trying shit out, people think I'm like doing some like genius secret tech thing, and I'm literally just like trying out the traits. Like when I'm
I see. They're reading too much.
yeah
They're
yeah
reading too much of what you're doing.
I
Got
loaded
it.
like my first game of the patch or like of the entire set. It was like a I don't know. It was a few days after the set was out, and I looked at nothing because I didn't really want to hop back into TFT immediately. And then I come back and it's like, oh holy shit, these guys think I know what I'm doing. It's like okay. But yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see. Uh, yeah, it's like hasn't really felt that like oh shit, I'm like the two time. It's
That's right. That's right. That's great. You are the
yeah.
two-time champion. What did anything stick out to you from competing? Obviously, the winning moment is something you're probably going to remember again. But is there anything that stuck out to you, either like a lesson learned or just some takeaways from the weekend that also stuck out to you besides like the championship moment?
I don't know. It's hard to like notice, but I felt like I never really choked. Um, like anything. I think I okay that's not true because I choked at like the first couple games.
Like the very beginning.
Yeah, like the very beginning of the tournament. And it's like oh shit, okay, well I already knew I fucked up. Let's just make sure that's the biggest fuck up of the entire
Was
event.
one of them the Morgana game? Because that was when I was catching while I was watching. It was like
Uh
a no scout, no pivot Morgana visionary reroll game.
oh, I don't think I played that. I played Ghost of the Past like Visionaries.
Oh, sorry, that was that one. Yeah, Ghost of the
Yeah.
Past.
And, okay, I that line is powerful. It's done well in like a lot of scrims and like regionals, but I'm pretty sure that line was just way too risky to bust it out worlds.
Okay.
Like it can win, but like if someone hits some other Exodia, which is pretty possible, like you're just hoping for like a matchmaking 5th to 8th spread, and I hit the 8th of it. I think I could have hit the 5th of it. I got pretty unlucky that game, but I don't think I was top 4ing that game, and I feel like I shouldn't really be taking lines that I can't even top 4. So
That's pretty
it is what
badass
it
in
is.
itself, though.
Yeah.
Trying out pretty high risk lines like Ghost of Friends Past, Morgana Visionary reroll, which actually Morgana is in the new set. Maybe we'll talk about her in a little bit. But before we move on to set 14, because that's ultimately what this podcast is mostly about, I kind of want to ask you, now that you can look back upon it, where does set 13 rank historically for you? I'm sure that the championship might have an influence on it, but I kind of want to get your thoughts. How much did you enjoy set 13 in hindsight?
Eh, not that much, honestly. Like
Really?
it's regarded as a better set than 11, but like I liked 11 more. But
Oh, why is that?
well that's like my hot take, like because like no one likes 11, and I'm like oh shit 11's lit, but everyone's like oh yeah you won the championship on 11, so like that you're biased. But like I won on 13 as well, and like I like 11 more. I don't know. It's probably just comes down to the units. I feel like the set 13 units are just kind of boring.
Okay, fair
Uh,
enough. And you're not a Arcane fan. You're not a massive one.
yeah. Like the lore and stuff doesn't really make me hype. Like I think Vi was cool, but like Quirky, I'm falling asleep. Uh, Zoe, I'm falling asleep. Twitch, I'm falling asleep.
The non-Arcane
Yeah.
characters is what you're saying.
I mean, okay, what was our? Oh, okay, Silva wasn't that interesting either.
Well, I mean, he wasn't really in this season, but I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. You're saying like a lot of the forecasts
Oh, I mean,
weren't exciting you.
in Bessa would be cool, but she was just frustrating, like with how she worked.
Oh, because she would like leave units alive barely and get to
Yeah.
the back. Yeah. And Bessa always had like an identity crisis throughout the set, largely due to I think her traits being so good, but her power level with herself wasn't that good.
And then Echo, I mean, honestly, Echo without Firelight, like just in Scrap was pretty cool. It's just like a frontline DPS champ, which is kind of weird and cool. But Echo with Firelight active was just like gambling. Like if he went to the backline and won the fight for free, which I didn't like. But yeah, I mean, my favorite unit was probably Vi, and then like that's saying something because like I don't think Vi's like one of
He's
the
not
coolest units of all
particularly
time.
super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about like, but would you say it's about an average set for you, or would
Really.
you say it's still like a positive set?
Yeah, I mean, I think like fun factor, it's probably about average. I think Anomaly like Kaiki saved that. I think no Anomaly like that. I don't know if I could be entertained enough to keep playing without Anomaly with those units. But like the balance is fine, and for competitive, that's all you really need to have like someone enjoyable. Like I think 11 had probably the best worlds patch, and this one was pretty good as well. So
It's true.
that's
It
nice.
seems like you did pretty well on the world's
Yeah.
patches that are considered to be quite balanced. I think a lot of people agree that set 13 was one of the better balance. I guess in terms of just the raw power level, some people
Mhm.
talk about like whether or not they feel the flexibility was there, but I do think that
Bro,
set 13 ended up being really balanced.
I think we've talked about it on here before, and we're probably gonna talk about it in the future. But like this game has never been flexible ever. Like you just sucked. Like
Yeah, players were just bad at the game.
that's just my perma take. I think, but
I like it. I like
this is
it.
probably not the time for that.
Not the time yet, but we can probably
Yeah.
walk through that eventually, especially if we get down to an actual flex line. But because flex lines exist, but the way people imagine flex is very different.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and put a pin on that and talk and look forward to the future. The future is here. It is now. It is Cyber City. So let's go ahead and get our first impressions of the set. So, with our first impressions, I just want to go through the list and just talk about the set and just maybe bounce back how our PB experience has been. Just discuss about the units, some of the augments, and maybe some other fun memories. So, the first thing I want to ask is: so you've played it for about a week. You're actually playing in some pro scrims and in houses. What is your favorite trait and line so far from PB?
I mean, it's probably the like the any strategist 5 costs soup garbage. But mostly just because I kind of like comps like that, just play a bunch of different carries and high cost units. And I also generally like AP more than AD, so I like it more like because of that. But honestly, it's one of those comps that it's like really reliant on the 5 costs, which gets a little lottery y. And then also Annie doesn't really function without like blue buff Shojin Nashers exactly, or like some artifacts. So it's not the easiest thing to pull off. But in general, I kind of like the team effort AP 5 cost stuff.
Yeah, we wrote this on our tier list. This is going to kind of serve a little bit as a way we dip into the actual meta analysis and tier list, but this is a strategy around Annie as the 4-cost AP spam caster. She's low mana, and she reminds us of the other low mana cast users, but she wants 3 mana items. If you're thinking about Silco, you're thinking about Cassiopeia in the previous set with Dominators, where you want a bunch of mana. Annie is basically this. Loves the tiers. And I think one thing that people kind of understood is that it's actually a little bit more about, like you said, the 5 cost, like a fast 9 comp, as opposed to like play around Annie. Because if you get stuck on 8s, it's kind of the classic case of you just can't really scale up. You might not hit Samira. You might be playing some weird makeshift variation. You have to play around some weak units like Ziggs and Brand. It's really about some of those power 5 costs. So far, it's a fun comp. Really expensive though, so I think some people are going to find some challenges to get there. Okay, my favorite line so far has to be Golden Ox, just because I think it's really fun to play for like the Golden Ox dream scenario. It reminds me a lot of Conquerors. And I think I'm a sucker for these kinds of like, well, if you can like snowball your momentum, you get a lot of rewards. And I love because you can even double dip by doing things like Urgot. So if you get Golden Ox on Urgot, you can print so much resources. So just the fun, casual side of it. Also, I think I play a lot of viewer games, so I was just like farming infinite. And so Golden
Yeah.
Ox is like a really fun win more composition. But I think we have it ranked as like the worst comp in the game.
You
And I kind of like that it is because it makes it feel extra satisfying if you get to play like the 1 in 50 spot for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm like kind of biased because like I don't really care for these like snowball for fun comps. But the thing is, I disagree with you on the fun factor because my experience with this was that I had 6 Golden Ox, 4-1, like 70 HP, Aphelios 2, Annie 2, Jarvan 2, Leona 2. Like you would think, oh shit, it's lit. I had like Dumbblade, IE, Ginsu, Aphelios. Like the board was cracked. I even had like a blue buff Gambler's Blade Annie. Like
Wow.
you know when I got my first component? I had this board on 4-1, by the way. Aphelios 2, 6 Ox Force. Like, when do you think I got my first component?
When did you?
Yes.
I mean, you should get it by like the third fight. The latest.
6-1. 6-1.
6-1.
So, like, is it like
bugged?
I mean, I was killing units. I was farming like a decent bit of gold. I didn't win every fight, but like I won a few of them, and I got my first component on 6-1. So I don't really know how fun this trade is.
Okay, but have you did you get Guy the Net in? Did you get Garen in? Because then you start to unlock the real juice on that.
No, because I fell off super hard stage 5 and I lost every round stage 5. But I mean,
okay.
I was still killing units. So
Okay. That's well, you know what? You're getting all the low rolling out of the way early because that is pretty abysmal. How do you only one component by an entire 2 stages? That's ridiculous.
I mean, I'm just not going to touch the trade. I'm gonna be honest. Okay. I think the thing is, 2 Golden Ox is like one of the most overpowered 2 trades of all time.
Oh yeah. Especially early graves. Oh my goodness,
it's ridiculous. Because like it's not even a dead trade early game, but then like the late game scaling hits, and it's just like, oh, this trade is just better than like everything else in the game. It's part of the reason why Aphelios and Annie are super good carries. It's because of this. Because then you get to play, and then as soon as you find a Garen, you can just start farming 2 Oxforce mods, which it's like the best mod in the game. Except for like some like vertical stuff. And then you.
I like that you call it Ox Force because
yeah,
it's Golden Ox, but it's a callback to a trait back in set 8, which is actually thematically kind of similar. It's like a superhero comic book theme back then. This is like Cyber City's future cyberpunk.
I am not going to be able to call it Golden Ox because Ox Force was too iconic, maybe for the wrong reasons, but yeah.
What was the Ox Force trait for people who never played that set?
I think the units got AP, but also like the thing it was like you got some like AP base stats, some garbage, I think. But the thing it was really good for is when the units went invulnerable at like 1 HP, but they didn't get retargeted, so it was like the worst version of invulnerable. So like they would go invulnerable and then you would still like target them. It was just and then you could just like have a bunch of Ox Forces in the front line and then just stall infinitely.
Yeah. So imagine you're playing a giant burst unit this set. So let's say you're playing Brand. You get all the Ox Force down to 1 HP, but then they become invulnerable for 1 second. Brand casts during that second. He AoEs. None of them die. And then here's the caveat: you add a bunch of healing to them. During that process, they heal back to like 1/4, 25% life. You still can't kill them. So Ox Force just kept snowballing these fights where they would take literally like 10,000 damage and not die at 1 HP because the trait would save them at 1. It was really obnoxious, and to the point where I think people say this is one of the worst design traits of all time in TFT history. But it's funny because it uses the same skin line, but it does something functionally really different this time.
I mean, there's no way they would ever reprint Ox Force in this game. But I'm probably just. I mean, I'll try to call it Golden Ox, but like on stream, I'm just calling it Ox Force.
Yeah,
it's one less syllable as well. So.
It's true. Ox Force is easier. Rolls off the tongue a lot better. Plus, you get to type Ox DD in chat, which is great. You could go through any of them. What's your favorite unit this set, Dishsoap? Like your favorite unit to play? doesn't have to be the line. Can we talk about the line, like the
Yeah.
traits and whatnot? Is there a unit that's like calling out to you that you love?
The unit that is calling out to me.
I mean, I can go first. It's
Yeah,
easy for
You,
me.
you go first because I'm just gonna scroll down and see.
I think my favorite unit this set for sure is Garen, Guy of the Net. It's just a really interesting and fun and very much like, oh my gosh, like what can actually happen with this? And I think one thing I really like about Garen is not just like the peak power level, because obviously you could play in Divinicore and then get some crazy Divinicore stuff and so on and so forth. But it's also a unit that makes the play patterns of endgame states really different depending on like what ends up happening. I mean, ultimately, functioning, you're still doing the same thing, but I like that it has a couple different tricks you can do. You can bounce off emblems, for example. Badges mod on Kabuko and use it as like a pseudo remove for certain things, and helps you scale your board. And it also gets a lot of reward for you planning properly because you have to plan a few turns in advance. It's a little bit, it's definitely overpowered in the right situations. And they probably have to nerf Garen over time through different means. But I think as a 5 cost, this is one of my favorite 5 costs they've made in quite some time.
Yeah, he's very strong. I think they need to he needs a pretty big nerf right now. Probably like not the unit, but I think God of the Net probably has to like get delayed 1 turn at like every interval. Like right now, you can get a mod after 2 turns of Garen, which is so fast.
Yeah,
Like it probably needs to be like 3, 4, 5, and then.
Oh,
Like,
3, 4, 5. That's so
okay,
low, man.
I know it's boring, but like these mods are they're so broken. They're like because most of the time to upgrade your unit to get like another like tier of a trait, you have to put like 2 or 3 extra units on your board, which also are like usually bad units. But if you just put 1 Garen slot, you can upgrade your unit by like more than a 2 trait very often, and then you're also just getting a solid like damage / frontline utility thing on your board. It's so insane.
I played a
Level.
game where I got Garen with Prismatic Bronze for Life, and I got it really early. I had like 4 or 5 mods, and I gotta tell you, man, it was cinema for me, man. It was just
Yeah.
beautiful because I had like half my board modded, and it was just crazy with Bronze for Life synergy. It was crazy. It was nuts.
It's
Ugh.
certainly fun, but I do think it is very, very powerful.
Okay. So hit me with it. What's your favorite? Is it
Well,
is it a 4 cost?
Well, no, I'll hit you with one. I don't think this guy's balanced either. It's for Nectin. But the thing is, like, I think Riot Games balance this unit around like people like eating their like leftover 2-star tank with no items, which is like fine. But this unit is not very balanced if you know how to abuse them. AKA eating Senna is insane just because her base AD is super high, and then she can heal back up with Slayer, so you're not losing anything. Eating Senna is insane, but also just eating like a 6 bruiser, with like 3 items is very nutty as well. Like you can bruise pattern him as well. Those are like the 2 biggest abuse cases. But since like Senna is like a Divinicore as well, there's a lot of internal synergy there. It's something you can realistically do. But yeah, I don't know. I think it needs to be toned down a bit because
Okay. Quick question. Is it trolled to eat your own golems? Like say you're playing Dumbify or Golemify, things like that. Is that worth on a unit like Renekton, even though it like takes out a huge chunk of your tank and also might force you to position weirdly too?
Oh, I mean, it would be turbo worth if it like. I don't know the exact numbers, but you only get a certain percentage of the stats if you eat a summon. There's like penalty for eating
Yeah,
summons.
they nerfed it, but let's say that you get like a juicy Golemify, right? And you hit Renekton later on. Everyone always says, "Oh my god, eat the dummy, eat the dummy, eat the golem."
Okay,
Is it worth it?
I mean that's probably just a math problem, but probably not honestly compared to just eating Senna is so good. Like I can't really stress it enough. How good that is.
Okay, noted for sure.
I don't think they balanced around eating Senna. I think they balanced around like you eating like a 2-star Jax or something.
Right, just some leftover you don't care about because you don't want to actually like eat a unit that's impactful, at least in their minds. Let's turn it the other way. What's your most hated units? Like, what do you hate going up against the most right now?
Okay, honestly, okay, but it's only because I'm lazy. It's Sejuani because like usually the CC tank is balanced in a way that like it's only casting once, but Sejuani is like really tanky. I don't think she's like broken anymore, mostly just because Bastion got like taken out back 5 times.
Yeah,
I mean it's just gotten so many nerfs, so like I don't think she's like broken or anything anymore, and especially Zeri, like that line's been nerfed so often or so many times on PvE. But This unit with 3 items reliably gets multiple cast off, and on PB when you're not scouting, it's really annoying because I mean it's like definitely your fault because it's not that hard of a how to use opposite side it or something you don't clump. But I've gotten hit by a lot of Sejuani's and not the most fun. Oh, actually, okay. My realistic answer, because like Sejuani is just like a you suck thing, but like this Cho'Gath unit, I hate this unit because
Really?
yes,
I don't hear people complain about Cho'Gath very
okay,
often.
because like people love just having a big unit and then like a physically big unit, not even just like big HP bar.
Mhm.
I think like he's cool for that reason, but to me, it's like either he's so broken he just goes infinite and then it's like you can't kill it and it's stupid, or what it kind of is right now, it's like he can't really be used in flex at all because you kind of need to like invest fully into him because he's balanced around the top end, kind of. So his like splash potential is basically 0. He's a dead unit on most rolldowns, and when he's strong, he's just incredibly annoying.
Yeah, fair enough. I've definitely run into my own fair share of like innervating locket, Cho'Gath, unkillable, 18,000 HP, and I got it
Yeah.
down to like 14,000. I'm like, it's a new high score. It's not bad.
Yeah, I feel like if you play the game for like the highlights, he's lit. But like if he's meta and then you play 100 games of the patch, I don't think you're gonna have that much fun.
Yeah, we'll see. My least favorite unit in terms of just the feeling of it is Ziggs, just because his spell shape is so weird to me. He does like a plus sign if you deal damage with Cyber Boss and you make him the boss. And it kind of creates like this weird positioning thing where I just can't figure it out. And it feels so unsatisfying. It's more like a satisfaction thing where I feel like it feels bad because I never feel like I'm getting proper value. You put him on the side, you're not getting a plus sign, you're getting an L shape, which is appropriate because you're playing Ziggs. Or if you put him in the center, he's vulnerable to a bunch of different things. And you're still missing a lot of times because the plus sign hits vertically, but they spread out. Let's say they play like a social distancing exiles positioning. You're still not getting a lot of the value there. I feel like I miss so often with Ziggs. Maybe that's part of what they want to try with the unique spell shape because it's a different look entirely. But so far, man, it feels frustrating to play him more than anything. So I know his power level is weaker, but in terms of like when he even was good, I just never felt like I got that. Oh man, this unit is so cool.
Yeah, I can't really say because I've been using him as a trade bot. Like,
He's
and
a good
then
trade bot right now for sure.
yeah,
The
and then
Buko
when you
activator is great.
and then when you have like the Morello shift Zig, then it's like you don't really care if he fucks up. So that's kind of
True,
where I am
true.
with him right now. But
Yep, fair enough, fair enough.
maybe if he's like actually good, it's like the paradox. Like if he's actually good and you actually have expectations, it's worse because
Ah, I
he's
see, I
supposed to
see.
win you the
The
round and then he
Gwen.
worse.
We made that
Yeah,
paradox with
yeah.
Gwen at the very first beginning.
Also, like Lilia set 11, like on launch, it used to just whiff all the time, and then they made her orbs like tracking,
Right, right,
which
right.
made that unit like really, really good. So maybe they'll do
Yeah.
something similar.
Maybe they'll change something to the spell shape. I'm sure there's something there. I like that they tried something new, but it's from a player's experience perspective, it just feels like I missed too much, even if it's not true.
See it.
All right. So let's just go ahead and dive into the meta tier list then. We've kind of danced around the subject. So let's just go ahead and talk about what are the best performing comps on our tier list. Okay, so caveat before we start. This is PBE that we're going off of. Yeah, you guys are watching this on launch day or launch week. But the reality is a lot can change. I mean, hell, by the time you even watch this, maybe there's an A patch to a couple
Oh
different
yeah,
things.
I can almost promise you there's gonna be like an 8 patch or something, and it's gonna be completely different. But it's whatever.
But I think it's important to at least talk about why these comps are strong and understanding, just to give people ideas, because I think some people are still so new to the set. They're like, okay, I see this is good. Why is it good? And how do I even get into these lines? So let's start off at the very top of what we have currently, which is the Vinicore Zed. And this is funny because if you followed alongside the beginning of PB, Zed was a complete meme. And not only was Zed weak, but he was also pointed out as being the only 4-cost melee champion of the set. If you look at everything else, it's all ranged AD and AP. Zed's the only melee carry either of AD and AP. So one, exactly makes this strong? And two, just so what, like, how do we get into a spot here to play Zed when he's like the only melee carry? Is it like all or nothing on this guy?
Yeah, I mean he just got Giga overbuffed because of the complaints. I think he's just kind of broken. Certainly a way you can play him, which is very common is you just play Cypher into him. He's the most common thing you cash it into Cypher with right now, and it makes sense. The version we have on the site doesn't have Cypher, but you can easily drop 2 of the Slayers. It's usually Jarvan Mundo for like Galio and Vi, and you still get Vanguard Bastion with that, and just keep 3 Cypher, so it's a way to make your roll down a little bit faster. But the reason Zed is good, just from besides just being a good unit, is if you noticed, to some of our yapping about some of our most enjoyed units to set. It includes Garen and Renekton are very, very core in this line. And this line is very, very good because of the broken things they can do. So this is the comp where you're most often going to have Renekton eating Senna. So you have like 2 Giga melee threats on your team. And then Garen provides the best mod in the game in this line, the Divinicore mod. There's functionally, there's not much of a difference between mod and a spat on a unit. Does the spat even have an effect? I don't
Not
think
the
so, right?
Divinicore one, but
Yeah,
that is
so
a
it's
change in the set.
it's this. Okay, I believe the spat gives you your whole team Omnivamp, which is still valuable. Like you would want to have a spat, but you like getting a Divinicore mod means you can open up your Zed to have 3 items and then put like spat on Garen or something, which is not something old Heavenly comp had to do. Like if you wanted 7 Heavenly, you either had to like when you're playing Heavenly Kayn, for example, you either had to like Heavenly spat the Kayn, lose out an item, or lose the Heavenly bonus on the Kayn, which it was a little bit of a bummer. But like if you hit a Garen, you don't really have to. If you hit the Divinicore mod, it's so powerful. And then yeah, basically you're just abusing a bunch of interactions and an overpowered unit. And what he does is he kind of just snipe, like he can 1v9, he aggro drops a bunch with his spell. He can snipe backline, he can clean up at the end of fights, and then like with a good enough Senna, Vex, Garen, and Renekton, you have enough carries to finish it off. It's just such a good comp. It's been dominating like all of the scrims.
Yeah, is Edge of Night important on Zed, you think? Because I think a lot of people conventionally think that he needs something defensive, but we have double healing and Infinity Edge here.
This is just the build the CM players go for. Like they hard force this build, so I just put it there. And I looked at the stats, it has a really, really good delta. Even though BT itself doesn't, but like this build in particular is like one of the top performing ones.
Okay, got it.
Don't really know why.
It could change. It could change.
Yeah. I think IE is very, very good because Divinicore gives you crit. I think IE is probably essential in this line. And with double healing, I guess you just don't need the aggro drop. I don't really have that much of an explanation of why this particular build is good, but it performs really well. A lot of good players are going for this build, so
Okay. More on that. Probably we'll have a different answer in the future episodes. Let's talk about comp number 2 here, which is Nitro Reroll. And there's a few variations of Nitro Reroll, particularly around like what are your carries. And this variation we have Jhin. And again, it's because Jhin got buffed 3 times in a row. He went from 84 mana to 74 mana to 64 mana and other buffs around him as well. So he eventually got really good. So talk to me about Nitro Reroll featuring Jhin.
Yeah, Jhin is just kind of a silly unit. I think if you put Jhin on any of your boards as like a secondary carry, even though he's a 2 cost and you're probably carrying him with like a 4 cost or something, like even outside of this comp, like you play a Jhin 2 and a Zeri 2, or you play like a Jhin 2 and an Aphelios 2, this Jhin 2 will do like 80% damage that your 4 cost will do, which doesn't really make any sense, but that's just kind of the world we live in. Yeah, his numbers are just really, really high. And he fits in really, really well with the comp. Just the synergies mesh completely. I think this is the intended way to play it, with like Neferi being an amp and you having an Exotech Bastion that just fits perfectly, and then Kindred's a Marksman. It just all fits.
Do you roll on 6 for the comp? I think a lot of people are always curious about like, well, it's got a bunch of 1 costs, and you're rolling for like a bunch of different units. Are you actually supposed to roll on 6?
Yeah, 100%. The spike on 6 is massive. Because you can't really fit Exotech outside of that. And I think this comp you really need to play from at least a usable Exotech. I don't really think you're supposed to play this with like the tank ones. The best 2 are the Pulse Stabilizer and Hyperfangs, but I think that's playable with any of the backline ones, like even the
Hollow Bow.
Yeah, like it's not great, but it's still an item on them if you build IE, and then it just opens up your slots for your other stuff. It's definitely better than getting a tank item on like Sejuani or Jax 2. But yeah, like in the comp, like Nidalee can kind of matter if you have like a super excess of items, but Kindred is like really bad. Kindred 3 is way worse than Gen 2 even. So it doesn't really matter if you upgrade her, even for like the Nitro stacks. Like the only reason to upgrade her is just if you like natural enough and get the Nitro stacks. You're not really supposed to care about her, like item wise. But like the most important use in the comp are Shyvana, Jhin, and then if you have excess items and you can get Neferi 3, it's better than Nidalee 3 as well. So and then a lot like not 0% of the time you can also go for Elise, which is way more possible on 6. So it's definitely a roll on 6 comp.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've actually because Jhin is so contested these days,
Yeah.
due to him just being most people's vehicle to fast 8 or even fast 9. I've hit at least 3 before I hit Jhin 3 on 6, and just give her random AP items. And Elise actually is quite a solid carry
Yep.
in the late stage of the game, both as a duo or even as a primary. So I think very highly of Elise.
Yeah, I mean, like this comp when you're uncontested, it feels so good, but like
Yeah, good luck with that.
yeah. The problem is like Jhin just gets held by a lot of stuff pretty often, and then if there's ever a Veigar player, you're likely not hitting Shyvana. Like I think this comp is like really good if you get to the 3 stars, but honestly, I don't think I'm gonna see myself playing this that much because
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to get.
one, I think this is probably gonna be, like this comp itself is gonna be one of the most popular comps, and 2, I just think it's like it'll get contested by other comps as well. So like it's strong. Like I've won a lot of games with it when I've gotten it for free, but I'm not sure how often that's gonna happen.
One thing about this is I feel like I myself don't know exactly how to position the dinosaur when it like the laser and everything like that. Is there any trick with how that, or is it just does it even really not matter very much?
You want to make sure it stuns, so you really want to make sure it's like hitting their like valuable frontline units. Outside of that, I don't think it matters.
Okay, so just in front of their valuable front line.
Not necessarily in like front of it. Like if like you like often what I'll do is I'll put it like dead middle, and then I'll put like something weak to the left of it or the right of it or something, and then they'll like converge on the dino or something.
Okay.
That's
Okay, got it. Got it. So
usually
intentionally
how it
letting
is.
it get surrounded a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We talked a little about Annie amps. Not really too much more to add there. I would just say that if you don't hit Samira and Kabuko, are you kind of in trouble? If you like, let's say you do get to 9 and you're ahead, but if you're not hitting Kabuko, Samira, I feel like you can really struggle a lot.
I think this is a Kobuko comp. Honest opinion. I think if you don't have a Kabuko, this comp is straight trash.
Okay, so it's that narrow. You have to hit Kabuko or you're in deep trouble.
Okay, like if you like hit all the 4 class stuff with good enough items, you can still top 4 with it, but to push any higher, like Kabuko is basically necessary. The thing is, this set is like has so much extra gold just thrown in random spots, like through the mechanics and stuff, that it's really not that hard to go 9 right now. So like a comp like this like might be laughed at in previous sets, but I don't think it's that like unlikely to get to right now.
Yeah, maybe we should change the cover of this to be Kabuko then, and just say Kabuko
Yeah.
Fast 9.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing is, like, the comp also needs the Trouba's Annie because
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
not
yeah.
really another source of like she's both your like frontline and your like backline consistent DPS. So like she's
Yeah.
like a really important part of it as well. But yeah, the comp doesn't really function without Kabuko. You can like make it work without Samira. Obviously, Samira is like a big deal, but you can stabilize her on like Brand for a little bit. Like
Right,
Brand,
right, right.
yeah,
I've seen like Viego brand do a lot in
yeah.
these kinds of scenarios. So some of its parts. Okay, and finally we have Marksman with Vanguards as the front line. This is Aphelios, Xayah, Leona. Pretty standard, like expensive
Mhm.
4 cost comp. Roll on 8 forever. See a lot of people like play like for top 4. It's a pretty easy comp. I would actually recommend if you love 4 cost comps. This is probably the first comp that you should learn because it's pretty straightforward. Nothing too complicated. It's just very easy. Like, yeah, just play 4 Vanguard in the mid game, two Marksman in the back, then look for 4 on 8. Any specific notes about this composition on your end, Dishsoap?
No, not really. I think it just Jhin is really strong, so this has a really easy path to succeed like early game, and it like can be a comp that you can roll forever on 8, which is pretty good for top 4s, and then it doesn't cap that low. Like the problem with this comp right now is just the Zed matchup. Zed can kind of do some disgusting things to your isolated backline marksman, but yeah, I don't really know if there's like any like specific like tricks or anything. I think Aphelios items are the most important compared to Xayah. Xayah can't really primary carry. She's more of just like like a big like shotgun burst that comes in every few seconds that is nice for killing frontline, but not really going to be your best consistent source of DPS. Yeah, I don't know. This comp is like your super basic front to back 4/4. We've had this every set. But yeah, I mean, it's probably a really good beginner comp. If there's one comp to like learn, it would probably be this one because I doubt it's getting nerfed, but maybe we'll see.
Yeah, it feels fine. It also feels like it's like balanced by the virtue of like you have to you have to play like a good standard econ setup. You can't like you'll get punished hard for having bad econ. You'll get punished hard for messing up your items. It's just like it feels like a pretty good down the middle comp. Fastball
Mhm.
down the middle, 95 mile an hour. You can't go wrong with it. So
Yep.
and I agree. I feel like Zaya feels like she has trouble getting past like some of the super front lines. In particular, you really need the Aphelios with like the Rage Blade and the proper setup in order to properly punch through. Otherwise, Zaya casts doesn't kill them. Then if they have any kind of sustain, you're like in big trouble because then Zaya still can't get past it. So on and so forth. So
Yep.
that's why we have Aphelios as the primary. Because I'd seen some people try to be like, "Well, I don't get it. I had like this 3 item Zaya 2 and everything like that. I couldn't actually stabilize." It's because it's really about Aphelios, in my opinion.
Oh, I guess like one actual trick is that Leona has like a pretty long single target stun to her ability. I believe it's 2 seconds to her.
The center of her target.
The center.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you can't actually. I mean, if you're hitting one unit, does it like stun that unit? Okay, actually, I was gonna give it. To,
It's weird because
Yeah,
she
yeah.
targets the largest clump of enemies, and whoever's in the center of it, she'll
Okay,
stun for 2
okay.
seconds, which means
Maybe,
that she is like the goat in like the small skirmishes at the end of the fight. Because if she casts twice,
yeah.
that unit's like just cooked. But it's hard to consistently get at the beginning of the fight, I think.
Okay, never mind. I was about to give a tip, but maybe the tip is like against Leona because I had this hit my Sedge and then it didn't cast because like Zaya killed it, and like it was
Oh
a
wow.
close.
Okay.
This happened in the late game. It was like a close fight before. Like it was like a 1-0, it was like a 2-0 before, and then he stunned my Sedge, and then it was like a 7-0.
Okay.
So
Okay. Maybe there's no tech yet. I'm sure like maybe China or Vietnam or something is gonna figure out some cute positioning thing with
yeah,
Leon
yeah.
to guarantee. Don't never say never. Okay, let's just briefly dip into A tier, and then I think we're just gonna put a pause there because I think a lot of comps are just basically too much lagging behind on the Bs. Out of your A's, which are the ones that you like the most?
I played the Fiddle Bruiser line like far more than any of the other ones listed. Even after like the 5 nurses got, I still think it's good. I don't think you can play it like from any spot anymore. I think you have to have a good reason for it. I think it's a very expensive comp. You need a lot of money for it. Is the first thing. It needs very specific items. I don't think it's really playable as a unit without double Archangel. I don't think you need Bruiser Spat, honestly. And even if you do get Bruiser Spat, I've been convinced that like the actual best way to the best holder for Bruiser Spat is like Renekton, and then you just go for like a third damage item on Fiddlesticks, and like he doesn't need the Bruiser Spat late game if you have enough frontline. And
Third Archangels is what you're saying because I
yeah, third. It's hard to get third Archangel, but like
it's so fun though.
you can get like a JG, you can get like a JG, you can get a Gully, you can get like a GS or something. Like,
Yeah.
but cap's really high with Renekton and Garen and stuff like that, and I don't know. It's still done like really well for me whenever I played it. I've only played it from like the pretty obvious spots, but
Right.
um,
I think like
yeah.
if you have Fiddlesticks and Cooking Pot early, that's like a slam dunk. Those are like the really obvious spots. This is also one of the things that you talked about. Renekton with a 3-star bruiser, just getting infinite stats,
Oh, you
just
want
like eating more than just like it doesn't even matter. You just get so much freaking stats. The Renekton rolls up with 4k HP and like 250 AD or something like that.
I think I had the best Renekton of all time. You want to hear what it was?
What was it?
It was it was a Renekton 2. It was like I don't know. It was like QS's BT Bruiser Spat. But the thing is,
Okay.
I had Garen with a Boombot mod with 4 Boombot, and then it was also eating a Gragas 3 with a double DBIE.
Oh, like the set Urgot. The
Yeah.
set Urgot Hunger for
Like
Power setup. Oh wow.
he would just like one slash through the entire front line and then do like half his damage is magic damage from Boombot as well. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever done on this PB.
That's crazy. Oh man.
But yeah.
People really sleep on like how much Boombot can do if they have a good setup for it.
Mhm.
Just because I think they have like this idea that flat stats fall off over time, and it's true. But if you have a good setup for Boombot, I mean, it sometimes really cooks people if they're not prepared for it. My favorite setup for this Fiddlesticks board was I somehow got like this insane. It was like a scuttle puddle, like insane high roll spot
Mhm.
where I got Chugbug with Gragas. and I get Gragas 3 with Fiddlesticks with Bruiser mod with the Garen, and my Fiddlesticks was stacking the entire game up until last fight. He had something stupid like 8,000 HP, triple Archangels, Gragas 3, all souped up with God of the Net. So some really fun ways you can integrate some other
Yeah.
augments that we don't feature because those are like, one-offs. We can't seriously recommend going for Gragas 3 with Fiddlesticks 3 and everything like that. But sometimes if the stars align, this set allows you to cook like that. All right. The only shout out that I want to give as well is I see a lot of people in the pro scrims play around Twisted Fate. It feels like Twisted Fate 3 is common. This is sort of like another just standard like 2-cost reroll comp that tries to play for the top 4. Feels like high tempo because Twisted Fate can really punish like early and mid game. Late game, though, it feels like it's unless you're getting something crazy like a 7 syndicate, doesn't really feel like it caps that high. Is that fair to say? Like, I feel like that's just like my read on the
Yeah.
comp.
I don't know. I think a lot of people like this. A lot of good players like this. So I think I can probably recommend that you play this comp, and we have it in A tier for a reason. But I think this is like one of the type of comp that I personally, as a player, dislike.
Every set we have it, like the
Yeah,
Kog'Maw, the
yeah.
Bard, the double Rageblade, Gunblade setups.
Yeah, I've never really been high on these type of comps, mostly just because like I feel like as people get better and as people like optimize their damage, like these like super slow scaling type of comps get kind of crushed if people can optimize their damage. But I expect it to be really good at the start. So
They usually are. I think this set, if you're a Rageblade lover, good news. Rageblade is very common and part of the meta.
I think it's giga overbuilt, but
That's not going to stop people. You could tell them it's terrible.
yeah.
The 2-time world champ could recommend that Rageblade is terrible, and yet people are going to slam Rageblade.
I mean, I actually looked at it, and there's less holders this set than last set. But like for some reason people think it's like Ginsu set.
Wait, really?
Yes,
Less
there are like
than
by
this?
far less holders.
Really? That's fascinating because I think people
Or not by
are
far.
realizing
It's
that
like,
for cost, like last set,
yeah.
it was about Twitch.
Well, there's one more 4 classes set, but like that's it. Like there's
I see. So you're saying it's like the same, but like basically.
I mean, maybe you'll play Rageblade comps more by virtue of there being another 4-cost comp, and like the 2-cost comps being kind of in meta. But there are actually more holders last set than the set.
Interesting. Wow. Way to dispel the myth, man. I want to believe that this is a Rageblade set.
Well, okay. Well, because the thing is, like, people like don't know. Like, I actually looked at this, and like Ginsu's like the most common built item on like, or not most common build, but it's on like the top 5 of like all the units of the game, basically, all like the damage units of the game. So like I feel like people like think Ginsu's good on stuff like Draven and like Jinx when it's like not at all in like Senna. Like Ginsu's very common built on those units, and it's like people like, oh shit, get the Ginsu set because I'm gonna build Ginsu Draven, Ginsu Senna, Ginsu Jinx.
For sure. All right. So that wraps up our tier list initial summary. And again, apologies if there's an A patch and it looks really different, but hopefully talking about some of these comps will just start getting you guys thinking about what makes them strong and why they were so dominant on the PV cycle heading into launch week. But with that, let's go ahead and put a wrap on that and head into our very first Cyber City pop quiz.
Let's get it. I looked at some of the stats for like items. That's kind of what I know.
Okay, don't worry. This one is probably the simplest, easy questions.
Okay.
Like obviously, you still have to know the answer to them, but they're not complex. They're not going to be things that require deep explorer knowledge. It's just more like overview stuff, just to get the conversation going. All right. So the first question, and Dishsoap, by the way, still scoring above 50% on a lot of these hard questions. So let's see if you can keep that up for this set. Question number 1: what unit currently has the best overall AVP? Just the unit. What is the unit that has the best overall AVP?
I think it's Aurora. I think it's Aurora.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Aurora, lock it in. That is correct. 3.69, noticeably above second place, which is Renekton. So Aurora being the best 5-cost in the raw stats. Is that accurate? Do you think Aurora is like one of, if not the best unit in the game?
Not really. It's good in the stats because it's the late game for like a lot of the good reroll comps right now. Because anything that plays MF, you're thinking TF right now, or like anything that plays a Dynamo. So that's like TF reroll, that's Nitro reroll, that's their level 9 very often. So it's like kind of it's extremely skewed from that.
But she is a good unit though.
Oh, and she's also the level 9 for like Marksman Vanguard very often as well.
That is true. That is true.
I don't think she's bad. I think if you're playing her on Dynamo, she's worth like throwing in, just because she gets decent value. She can play Marilla well. If you have her 2-star, she can be an okay AP holder. But I don't think she's like particularly like extremely powerful, like deserving of like best unit in the set.
Okay.
She just ends up being the cap of a lot of the comps that are doing very well right now.
What are some of the units? I think a lot of people know about Aurora and Urgot as the combo to throw in, right? Because the Urgot gets thrown in, he executes, and he might print you stuff. What are some other like really good units to throw in with Aurora besides Urgot?
I usually end up throwing in like Kabuko or Urgot. I think Kabuko with the attack speed basically always casts. But the thing is, it's like his like he doesn't have Cyber Essence, so it's like his like 1 hex cast. It's not that good, but it's still like a decent amount of CC.
The positioning can be kind of weird too, because if you put Aurora in the back, she switches with the unit, they have to walk up. So the 1 hex radius is even more awkward to have to deal with. Some people say that with Aurora, you put her closer to the front line.
I think that's like high key fake.
Okay, I
Okay,
thought
like
so too.
the thing is, I had her pull in a melee unit. This was like the most clutch thing ever, and like Zed was in range of like going to my backline. But then I had Aurora in like the direct middle. She casted, threw in a melee unit. Melee unit walked 1 hex up, which put it in range of the Zed, and the Zed chose to walk or chose to teleport to the melee unit instead, saving my unit, and then I one shot the Zed. It was actually Cinema.
Wow. All right.
I don't think that. I mean, I don't think that's tech because it like requires so much to go right because the unit like literally walked up. But I mean, hey, it is what it is.
I like that. I'll keep that in my back pocket. Okay, not bad. You got the first one. Hey, starting off set 14 on the right foot. Question number 2. What emblem currently has the best overall AVP?
Divinicore. I don't actually know. It used to be Divinicore, but I mean, Divinicore is still good, so I'll go Divinicore. Divinicorp. I don't know. How do you say it?
Divinicore is how you say it. The P is silent, and you are correct. It is the best. I think we covered this. Divinicore right now is nutty. Not much more. It's also like a fantastic, like if you really don't know what to take off a late game carousel, splashing in Divinicore can also be really reasonable and give you a reason to maybe start putting some other more Divinicores on the board. So Renekton plus Divinicore emblem late game, it's always a good thing to play.
Yep.
Okay, question number 3. This is going to go the opposite direction. Which artifact has the worst stats, being the only artifact with positive delta by a lot? It's the worst artifact in the game by a country mile.
But moguls, I guess. Like, is that really the worst by a country mile? I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, the early game is not really frontline dominated. Is the thing. It's kind of the reason why I want to say moguls, because like the tanks only really start to get good at like 2 cost, and like you need them to be upgraded to like get good moguls value. So that like there's no like 1 cost tanks that can really abuse moguls. And then if you're not proccing it a bunch of gold with moguls immediately, it's just kind of bad. The thing is, it's PB and people aren't like making good boards. Like maybe you can proc moguls anyways. I don't know, I'll just say moguls. Like who cares?
Moguls close. That's the second worst, but it's basically delta neutral. The worst by far is Suspicious Trenchcoat. This item is struggling big time.
Yeah.
It's like a positive 0.25. And it's like a 4.7. It's looking kind of bad.
Yeah, I don't think there are any holders. I saw like Leduc doing some stuff with Aurora. I'm pretty sure that's like not extremely real. But
no, Leduc tech is only he only acquires the finest of techs. You just haven't seen the light yet.
I have not seen the light. Thing is, if you get all 3 Auroras to cast, like I mean that is pretty good because you get to pull 3 things on bench, but you have to have 3 things on bench. And then you have to have your Auroras not like die before they cast. Like I know there's a thing with Renekton, but I don't actually think that's 100% for whatever reason.
Right. The most success that I have was one time like a prismatic orb dropped. I was re-rolling Jin Nitro and I just put it on the Fury and I got the Stereoscation of Fury and it felt like that was contributing enough. It wasn't like taking over the game, but like that and the Fury all of a sudden was doing 6,000 to 8,000 a fight and contributing a lot. So that was where I felt the most success was, but that's a pretty impractical scenario because it's not like you can open up Trenchcoat and be like, man, I'm re-rolling the Fury in this game with that. At least that's not the impression I got. Not bad. Okay, we're on question number 4. Rank these traits in order of AVP and win rate. 3 Cypher, 4 Cypher, and 5 Cypher. So what's the best, what's the second best, and what's the worst?
So, wait, we're ranking the Cypher levels?
Yeah, you're ranking the Cypher levels.
Well, 3... Wait, okay, well 3 is the best. I know that. What's better between 4 and 5 is fascinating. Okay, it's probably 4 is better because people on 5 might just be like hasn't cashed out yet and died before they cashed out. I'm gonna go 3, 4, 5 in that order. Or no, or like 3 is the best, 4 is the second best, and 5 is the worst.
All right, lock it in.
Mhm.
All right, it is 3, then 5, and
Oh,
then
damn.
the biggest gap of all time, and it's 4. 4 Cypher stats are like 15% top 4 rate. It is so bad.
Yeah.
And I was
I
like
mean,
blown away by that.
I wasn't really expecting either 4 or 5 Cypher to be good, but I thought people playing 5 Cypher might just like have it in for fun, like on like stage 5 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. And
But,
they
but
died.
honestly, I guess if they made it to stage 5, like the AVP can't be that bad.
That is also true. That is also true. 4 Cypher though, man, that those stats are terrible. Straight up like in the 6s. All right, last question. Let's see if we can end here 3 out of 5. This one's a classic one, so this one makes most sense. Which 3-star 4 cost is the best right now in the overall stats?
I have no frame of reference, but I played against a Zed, and the thing is, I feel like sometimes the melees are like really, really undertuned and like you can low-key beat them. I played against a Zed with like a pretty good board. Like my board was dead in 2 milliseconds against a Z3. And I've really seen no others, so I'll just say Zed just because I got like it was really pathetic how little my board could do against it.
Ah, very close. Zed is really high up there, but Misfortune is the best. Not sure why her win rate's like very, very high,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
it's probably just because she fires and clears everything, instantly dies. So.
it's just random, like whatever numbers Riot wants to give these.
Yeah.
So,
It's all good. Those are like the tough
mm.
ones, but I mean at the same time, it's fun to know. If you have MF3, you probably will beat everything. That's sort of a 3-star 5 cost.
Yeah, and then you get to post on Twitter to Mortog when you lose with the MF3.
That's the best part. That's why we play TFT. Okay, let's go into our main subject for today. And as you guys like to know, at the beginning of the set, we want to talk about the set mechanics. So we're going to spend this episode talking about it, and we'll dive into as much as we can about hacks. But if we can't get through all of it, we'll just put a pin halfway through. Let's just see how the conversation's developing, because there's actually a good amount to cover. So the first thing is, what is the hack mechanic, and then how we're going to try to play around it. Some things to maybe know. So there are 3 different types of hacks in Cyber City. The first is that there are hacked encounters. You can get things that will be at the very start of the game that tells you what thing that's happening. An example of a hacked encounter is you might get lucky shops, where sometimes you'll get 2 stars offered, and that'll be an encounter for the entire game. But then you can get some regular encounters like component anvils or an artifact anvil. Those are not hacked encounters. That's not the set mechanic. The second type of hack are orbs. You can get random orb drops that are hacked. Your screen will glitch, and there's a random glowing question mark orb that can be dropped a handful of other things, ranging from items to health to some other goodies. And the third are hacked augments. So hacked augments and moments that happen around those can also be a spontaneous decision making. The first thing is that a lot of people say this is very similar to encounters. And it feels like a very similar to set 11. So I guess Dishsoap's going to win worlds again, right? Dishsoap, is that fair to say? Do you feel like this is very similar to encounters and how to approach encounters?
Yeah, I mean it's just encounters with a flavor reskin. I know they call encounters right now like the thing that happens at the start of the game, but originally in set 11, encounters were basically just these like quick time events that would give the whole lobby some random output or something that they could choose. Just some like unknown output that happens in the middle of the game, and that's just what this is. Yeah, it's just encounters. Something will happen either like at the start of the game and in the middle of the games, and you're gonna have to adapt to it.
Right. The first thing that I wrote down is that a lot of lobbies are going to feel like they're crazy high roll. I think that's the first thing that you have to understand, is because there's a lot of resource injection into the game. And that's in the form of gold, and it's in the form of items. There's going to be regular times where you're going to be slammed with 8 components all of a sudden, and you have to know what to do immediately with them. And so is there any tips that you can have philosophically of how to approach such a high resource game where it feels like everything's like scuttle puddle or crab rave?
Well, first of all, you like have to know like what your duo carry is in most comps. Even if you're playing a comp that's like, oh, we put 3 items on your tank, 3 items on your backline, you have to know what to like do with your extra components and what components to go for on Carousel to help with that. Like for example, in like TF Reroll, you have to know that like after you get your like good TF items and your good tank items, like you shouldn't really be going for like more secondary tanks. You should be like trying to get more items for like your MF, for example. And then that can be like a good duo carry in your late game. And this applies to like most comps. So just like knowing the outs for who to itemize extra is good. Um and then yeah, for like and then you just have to like shift your mindset. You have to like know that like if you're playing a comp that like is like more of a top 4 oriented comp, if the whole lobby gets dropped a bunch of money, that's really gonna be mostly beneficial to like the greedier comps that can win. So you have to like probably play a bit more aggressively in order to actually secure that top 4, be on HP lead, because you can't really be like sacrificing HP, because in the late game you'll just be outcapped, and then without HP you're just gonna die.
All right. I like that. I like that. Thinking about immediately who is going to be things like your secondary duo carry and what to do. And that's ultimately what our guides are for, to help you understand that. Okay, I have pulled up some of the hacks on TFTAcademy for us to go through. So let's just go through some of them and talk about them. And if we have tips for them or ways to approach, we can stop and talk about it. There's not much to say because they're pretty straightforward. We don't have to
Yep.
say much about it. So the first is the treasure armory. This is a callback to set 7, the treasure dragon, where at the end of stage 7, instead of getting a creep round of components and random loot drop orbs, you'll instead get a treasure armory that includes a bunch of goodies, including augments. So what are your thoughts on this hacked encounter?
So when I read this, like without like actually playing the game, I assumed like augments were just something that you could like sometimes see. Based on my experience, I think you just see an like always see an augment. Either I don't know the exact table. This is one of the things that's gonna launch a table for it, like the start of the set, and then it'll be easier to evaluate after that. But usually for me, what I've seen, it's like it's a bit of gold, 1 or 2 components, and like a gold or a silver augment. Um, Pretty consistently from this one. And for me, uh, it's 2 things. If you really need like a certain item, because this replaces the thing with an anvil. If you're really searching for like a certain component, that's probably going to be your priority. You can probably like find like the last bow or whatever, or like tier that you need from this. I think that's usually going to be the priority. But if you really don't really need an item, you should be looking for like a good last combat augment, because that's really all you should be wanting on 4-7. Just an extra combat effect to help you out.
Yeah, I've seen people get offered gold and silver augments. It feels like a lot of the options, in my opinion, aren't exactly well balanced
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's hard to justify taking a silver. I think they'll probably like when you get a silver augment, they'll probably offer you like an extra component or something. And if you're at like odd components, that might be able to help, or even components rather. Yeah, I mean usually you're just trying to take a gold combat augment and finish off a good item.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I feel like it's also similar to the anomalies where you just can't spend that much gold rolling for it, because that does change the context of how good that augment can be. Especially if you're on low econ situations, don't roll too much.
Mhm.
So I definitely think that in your first treasure armory, you're definitely looking to take something that looks pretty good instead of like the actual bis. All right, second one, accelerated augments. Instead of picking your augments on 2-1, 3-2, and 4-2, your augments will be shifted forwards for more action quicker. This means you can get your augments all on stage 2, or you might just get, 2 on stage 2, 1 on stage 3.
Well, I'll say I prefer this over the like completely random augment rounds that we got in set 11, because getting your augment on stage 5 is just stupid. Go flame. But
Yeah, people died with 2 augments all the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
but all I'll say to this is that there's some augments that get a lot worse if you do not take them on 2-1. And the thing is, they don't really like the augments are they get offered based on stage. So even on 2-6, you'll see the exact same augments you can see on 2-1. So augments that like scale based off something that happens at start of stage get a lot better. AKA like shop glitch on like 2-6 is pretty good because you get the bonus immediately. But something like Living Forge, which is like after 10 rounds do something, are basically unclickable.
Yeah.
So click stuff like if you get an augment later on in the stage that you would have, don't click anything that's tied to a certain amount of rounds, and maybe consider something that gives you a bonus at the end of the stage.
Yeah, pumping up, no scout, no pivot. I've seen people do some really crazy stuff, like
Yeah.
take these augments as their third augment. It looks really funny, especially if you get them all on stage 2. So yeah, the context of when you pick an augment often frames its power level. And a lot of augments are designed for a 2-1 experience, not a 2-5, a 2-6 experience. And that might change it a lot. And stage 3, I think they're pretty uniform for the most part because it's like
Yeah.
somewhere defined in the mid game. But stage 2 is where I think the biggest amount of decisions are made around that. Okay. Hacked egg. Gain bonus loot from your egg that hatches in a predetermined amount of turns. Losing player combat speeds up the hatch timer by an extra turn. I believe you get this in stage 4.
Yeah, you give them like 4-1, I think. The thing about this egg, it's like high key a scam, because you would think that the rewards are like random but equal, but I believe the rewards are just exact, based on the amount of turns you get, and the 13-1 is like, I believe it's just like money and a ZZ rot, and I think that's just troll because usually if you're waiting that long, you usually don't need the money unless you're like full loose streaking, and then like maybe the money's good, but the 9-turn one gives you like an artifact, which is very
Wait,
often better
really?
than a ZZ rot. Yeah. These are just completely predetermined. At least they were.
I think I always take 13. I don't think I've ever clicked 9
Mhm.
because I just want to see what is 13. So yeah, I
Yeah, I
feel like
believe.
I got scammed.
Yeah, I believe 13 is like just money and a ZZ rot. I think like it definitely has a higher value, but given the fact that you're waiting potentially 4 more turns and it's like a ZZ rot, I mean, if you want a ZZ rot, you could take the 13-1, but like it literally is just a ZZ rot and some money, I think.
Have
So
you ever taken the low round one? I think it's 4 rounds. Have you ever taken that one?
no, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually like good. But I don't actually know the table because I've never, or I don't know what it is because I've never taken it.
Sure. They're leaving some mystery. Yeah, I kind of wonder if it's actually good to take it, but I've never literally everyone takes 13 like in PB. I
I think
haven't seen anyone take 9 even.
I think the strongest one's 9 by like a significant margin.
Okay, for now, I'm sure they'll change that to make it feel like 13 is worthwhile because that's just silly that 13 is just like worse than 9.
Well, I mean, like if they were the same amount of time, you pick 13, but I think the time you get it is pretty impactful. And the
Yeah.
thing, I believe it's like 9 is an artifact anvil, which is quite good.
Okay, good to know. Man, these next two that we're going to talk about are some shenanigans. We got lucky shops. Once per stage, your first shop will be a loaded shop containing some units that you may need. This is basically like using loaded dice, sort of, but it's
Kinda.
random on your traits. These shops are kind of crazy sometimes. They just like let you, especially if you're re-rolling, you get some crazy power spikes at times.
Yeah, it counts inactive traits as well, so there's not like crazy abuse you can do by like playing like some very specific units and like guaranteeing you roll something. Because like I don't know, if you're playing like a Shyvana for Nitro, you're gonna see like random ass techie units that you don't want, which is like kind of a bummer and kind of low roll, but it is what it is.
Okay, but I have a question. What if you saw no lucky shop at 2-6, you're loose streaking, and you know that the next round in 2-7, it is going to be a lucky shop guaranteed? Could you just like manipulate that? Let's say you play like 2 Nidalees and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could.
Okay. And does that work? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if it's like Toma traits where it's like you have to have a certain number. Otherwise, it just like randomizes fully.
Oh, okay. Honestly, I don't know that, but I would assume you would just be able to see Nitro and units. So you would see Nefiri, you would see Nidalee, you would see Kindred, and you would see Shyvana.
Okay, cool.
But even then, like four units when you're seeing a 5-unit job, like I don't really think that's an abuse. I think that's just like okay. But I don't know. With lucky shops, I've mostly seen this like do well in vertical traits, like where you play like a bunch of the same trait of a units, and also just in reroll comps. But also, I'm pretty sure you can just play like any comp into this, and it's fine.
Any comp? Okay.
Yeah. But
Yep, fair enough. I do think the verticals make sense because it feels like you have a pretty high chance of spiking the 5 cost
Mhm.
when you're on 8 and you hit it. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, well, I need like the Renekton, and the Renekton kind of comes in. So nice to have that lucky shop in. All right, 2-star shops. It's not really like chosen because there will randomly be 2-star champions in your shop.
I don't know the exact percentages on this, but it's basically like a rare Starry Night, but it works on like every single level of unit, including 4 and 5 costs. You can't see a 5 cost on 8, 2-star 5 cost on 8, but you can see 2-star 4 costs on 8, which gets really stupid. If you like natural a good one. I don't really know why they made this encounter or made this hack, whatever. I think like they should remove it from the game. It's really stupid.
I do think it's stupid. I actually think this is probably my least favorite encounter in the game. I also do think that the vision behind it is that you can hit something crazy and potentially pivot. Um, I think that it happened exactly one time. I probably played this like 15 to 20 times so far on PBE, and it's been a miserable experience most of the time. But there's one game where because I hit something kind of crazy, I was able to do a full pivot. And I think that was like the vision of like what they enjoy about it. But I feel like that is so rare that what ends up happening is you basically just have to hope that the 2-star shop favors what you're looking for, whether you're rerolling or you hit like the exact 4 cost 2-star and you saved like infinite gold. Now you can go 9 on 2 rolls versus like you're rolling forever and you never hit. And then there's the bag size problem where like people literally just pulled things like Leona 2 out of thin air and you just have zero, like literally, I've scouted before on 4-2 and 0 Leonas were remaining because like, you know, people were holding pairs and then 2 people just hit Leona 2 immediately. So this is like all the bad things I don't like about it.
Yeah, I think this is like probably the worst encounter they've ever made, like, starting game.
They've ever made.
I,
Wow.
I stand by that. I think this is legitimately the worst one.
Oh man.
I think it's worse than like Warwick Mel, like by far.
Woo.
Uh,
All right.
like it's probably worse than even like the set 9 ones. Like
Set 9?
the portals in set 9 or whatever.
Oh man.
There were some bad ones in that one as well because it was like the first set.
Yeah.
I think this is like the worst start of game effect that they've ever made.
Okay.
But
Dishsoap would hope that they remove it. Me too.
but the thing is, I think there's like over 50% chance this has gone in like 2 patches. But we'll see.
Yeah, or rework somehow because
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something about it that people enjoy, but right now it feels way too much like a luck fest at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, Golem Armory. This one is kind of troll. At stage 4-7, you'll get a choice between a tank, a backline golem, or a gold golem, each with 3 items attached. The question is this, Soap. Have you ever clicked gold golem?
I've never clicked it, but I see the people with Cypher cash out like kind of try to flex in the lobby with taking the golem for fun.
Because they're just so far ahead.
Yeah, and then I saw someone lose because they took it. But yeah, it's just the aura pick.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
I don't really
it's the
think there's
victory
any,
cigar.
yeah. There's no actual reason to take it. To me, I think the backline and frontline ones are both good. I think there's situations to take both of them in. It's mostly just like balance out what you weak at. And yeah, I've taken both. I felt satisfied with both.
Yeah. I mean, this one's pretty straightforward, which is if your comp is lacking frontline, take frontline. If your comp is lacking damage, let's say you're playing 6 Bastion or something, you just don't have backline units. Zeri 1, take a backline golem. It's a pretty basic one, honestly. And it to me, it feels like a non-intrusive encounter because you don't really have anything happen for majority of the game. And then if you survive to the end stage game, it's end stage, you get to make a choice that helps enhance. So yeah, good stuff.
This one helped me get to 15 units.
15 units?
Yeah. Or like 15 spots on the board at the start of the round. I had a
Wait, how?
level 10 fawn, so that's 11.
Okay.
And then I had a cloning facility. I had a like a dummy.
Okay.
It's 2 more, and then I had this. That's oh, is it no? I
That's
no. I had this, and then I had Viego, which is 15.
Oh, I'm guessing you won that game.
Oh, very easily.
Okay.
But,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's still a unit that can somehow get through 15 units.
Oh, also random notes. I don't think this is intended, but cloning mod clones the Garen mod, or cloning facility clones the Garen mod.
Oh, that's
Which
just like a
is-
random aside. Like if you put
Oh,
Golden
yeah.
Ox mod on a unit and you put in the cloning facility, both of them get it.
Yeah, but both they get it. I think it's like,
Oh,
I think it makes it all like really good. But
I had no idea. That is good tech.
I don't think that's intended though. But
Oh yeah, I'll probably get nerfed for sure. Okay, next one. Extra augments. We're not talking about choosing between 4 augments. We're talking about the extra augment selection at the end of stage 2, 3, 4, and 5. So sometimes you just get a 4th augment.
Yeah, I mean, hard to like say much about this. You just get a 4th augment. Like seeing more augments mean there's just more combat power on the boards. Makes the cap higher, I guess, like more than you would think, maybe. But I don't know. I like this 4th augment's cool. honestly.
Yeah, it does create some tipping points. I would say the one thing is that if you're ever in a position where you've ever taken 4 combat augments and you hit
Yeah.
your board, you actually kind of are unstoppable. It's the same thing as like having like a 4 item on your hyper carry. If you get 4 combat augments and you're playing those compositions, sometimes you just can't lose. So that is something to think about. That doesn't mean you should pick 4 combat augments because obviously it's contextual.
Mhm.
But, if you recognize that you're in a spot where, like, you can do that, I just gotta say, like, those boards are immortal. I can't kill them at all.
Yep.
All right. Category augments. Ooh, this one is probably one of the spicier ones. Now, category augments are augments that you can get offered different types of augments on the left. So sometimes it'll give you a trait augment. Sometimes it'll give you a build around augment. A build around augment's like, like a no scout, no pivot. It might give you black market augments, which are prismatic augments that were from the past. They were literally removed for being too overpowered, which is not actually true because some of these augments, like Gargantuan Resolve, got promoted to Prismatic, and then it was just awful, and they had to
I mean,
triple buff it.
I mean, some of these are just random as well. Like there's like this Kim Tank one that are just like 3 random. Like this has never been a logman in the game ever.
Oh,
And then
Chemtech Overdrive. That's right. Let me see if I
yeah,
can
I mean
pull
that's
up.
I mean like a lot of these are just like new augments basically. But I don't know. Like for me, surprisingly, like the least crazy thing here that happens is the black market ones. I actually think they're like kind of weak on average. And then I really haven't seen like them being that strong and like abusable. I think they like super balanced them because they were like I think they were worried they were going to be overpowered, but I don't think they are at all. I think they're I very commonly don't take them like more often than I take them.
One that they took to the out to the back was Blue Battery. This augment was really good at its heyday, and they brought it back and they nerfed it twice pretty hard, and now Blue Battery feels like pretty awful.
Oh, I
So
don't. That's like I actually think that's one of the only pickable ones, the black market ones right now.
still, okay, interesting.
Well, yeah,
I
because
remember it was super good at the very beginning.
well, the thing is like you can't really ignore the fact that it gives you an item, um, the blue buff. Like that's a huge part of it.
Okay, fair
If
enough.
you if it, like just giving a blue buff on your Annie plus like a decent combat effect. Like the combat effect is probably like a gold augment worth of power, but it gives you a blue buff, which is pretty good sometimes.
What about this one? Final reserves. The first time you'd be eliminated, say you remain alive. After this happens, gain 70 EXP and set your gold to 90. Excess gold is converted to EXP. This one was one of the big win out augments back in the day. Is this one a potential?
Yeah, I mean if you're playing Sniper, you just take this. I think that's about it. I mean, you're only gonna see it on 3-2 on black market. It's not really gonna come up that much. But yeah, I mean, if you're in a loose streak spot, you can definitely consider it. The more egregious part of this that happens way more often is like I think it's either gold or prismatic where this can happen. Is the left side just becomes like a I mean, they're called category augments. Like it'll be like gold, econ, items, trade, or something. There might be another one, or like build around random effect. I think I've seen that, but it'll just offer you like a flat bonus of gold to take like the left augment, and the bonus like basically means that you're going to take one of the left augments almost always, and the fact that it's like the same trait for the or like the same category for the rest of the lobby like kind of just warps lobbies into like everyone kind of doing similar things. Like for example, like I rolled this happened a couple times. Like it was a prismatic trade or category one. It was econ was the category on the left, and then the other one gave like 6 gold or something. But then like all the like half the econ prismatics in the game on 2-1 scale off gold. So like there's just like there's no reason not to just take level up. There's like another like shitty level up one that like heals you, but it's not even that bad. I don't know what it's called. There's birthday present. There's like hedge fund. There's more that I'm probably not even thinking of. But basically there's like ticket. There's like a bunch of internal synergy econ prismatics. And then I just don't think a game where everyone is taking econ prismatics and like pushing levels and hitting insane boards is like it's basically like Draven encounter Loki with the amount of money everyone has. Because it scales up. And like this is also kind of an issue when it rolls like a trait augment, because then you can have people are really incentivized to take the trade augment, and off of they'll just end up contesting each other, and that leads to some bad experiences as well. Yeah, I know it's like for flavor thing, and they really want you to take the hack ones, but I think the bonus that it gives you for taking the hacked ones are like way too high right now, and it kind of warps the game negatively.
Yeah, I think that is a really common experience. I think that the gold that they offer at the beginning of the game for those augments are too good. If you get offered bribed augment and you're like, well, usually I don't take some of these combat augments. If the combat augments helps you hit your interest, it's worth a lot more than that 3 gold. It might be worth 7, 8, 9, 10 gold, depending on how your interest works. And you now might be win streaking because you took a combat augment. And so it's like one of those things where it might snowball. So these bribes, in my opinion, have to take a look at. I think they have to lower it down. I think they're worried because, like, I think the true balance of them might be like 1 gold, but that's not exciting for a lot of people. Like, oh my god, 1 gold.
Okay,
So
so the
yeah,
thing is, like, some people might listen to that and be like, 1 gold, what's the point? 1 gold. I think 1 gold is too much. But like that's just like
wow,
that's just my like hyper
1 gold
balanced
is
opinion.
too much.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I think 1 gold like it changes the balance lever like a lot of like many augments if like comparison because it's not just 1 gold. It's basically like a 2 gold like opportunity cost diff kinda.
Right, and then as the
Yeah,
meme goes, which actually translates to 3 gold, which actually translates to
yeah,
4 gold,
yeah.
and so on and so forth. You're not wrong.
So yeah, I don't like this mechanic at all. It's like probably my least favorite thing of the set because it happens very consistently.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. There's a lot of between that and the 2-star shop
Oh,
encounters.
and it also just contributes to inflation so much because this happens so often.
Yeah, we'll see. The inflation is a big problem. I can't tell you how many games I am level 7, 40 gold, 3-2 because of those kinds of category augments. And it's something that like surprises me even because all I did was take a combat augment on 2-1. Hacked augments. You'll be presented with a choice of choosing 1 strong augment or 2 weaker augment, 1 prismatic or 2 golds, or 1 gold/2 silver augments. The choice is yours.
I kind of have like an internal like what do you call it like a weighting system in my head. Okay, so two. Okay, I'll just like break it down. 2-1 double silver versus gold is almost always double silver. I don't even know if you can get this on 2-1 honestly, but like
You
if you
can. You
could,
definitely can.
okay, if you can, it's like double silver for sure because I think the bribe leak is not that high. On 3-2 it's the same. You usually just take double silver. Okay, unless like the silvers are just terrible and you just giga low roll like all of the rolls, but that doesn't happen that often. Like usually you're getting something decent. But like 2-1, 3-2, I think you should almost always take double silver unless like you get like some insane gold that like synergizes with your comp or something. Like you get like last stand on 3-2 for your Cypher comp. And I took Trait Tracker over the double silvers before, and I mean you win the game with that because I mean Trait Tracker if you can actually use it is very broken as well. But then on 4-2, I think you can actually take the gold sometimes because the bribe gets to the point where it's like actually pretty decent. And the 4-2 silvers, because 4-2 is the part of the game where you just want to take a combat augment. It's actually very rare that you get 2 silver 4-2 combat augments. Like I've actually like almost never seen it. The best you can do is like a TG and some good combat augment. I've taken that a couple times, but on 4-2 it's actually kind of 50-50 for me between gold and double silver. And then like 2 golds versus prismatic, I don't think I've ever taken prismatic. Like if you just like add up 2 golds, if you just double any gold augment and you offer that as a prismatic, it would be a broken prismatic. So I think the balance is a little bit off there. I think you kind of always just take double gold. I mean, there's probably some scenario where like the prismatic is just so synergistic with what you're doing that you just that it wins you the game or something. And if that's the case, then sure, just take it. But I'm pretty convinced you just take double gold.
Yeah, I've myself have tried going out of my way to take a prismatic instead of 2 golds, and it just felt so bad relative to the golds. So agreed there. I think the general rule of thumb then is just always take the 2 over the 1. 2 is bigger than 1.
Yeah, I think there's some spots to like not take the silvers, but
Right, right. You're talking about 4-2
yeah.
specifically, but I do think I do think that's kind of funny that for the most part, like I have this internal weight system, and it's like, well, I pretty much 2 is bigger than 1, so
Well, yeah, but
I
yeah.
like it. All right, perhaps one of the more memeier moments of the set. I actually think they cooked on this one. Gold split armory. Randomly in the game, you'll have to make the choice of guaranteed gold or split a large pool with other splitters.
I have always clicked guaranteed gold, and I've only been punished once out of like the 10 plus times. Like it's probably been like 15 times I've seen this. I think I've only gotten punished once for taking guaranteed. I know it's PvE and people are probably like willing to be more risky,
Oh yeah,
but
they're over splitting for sure.
I don't know. Unless like I feel like unless like I notice people like not splitting that often, I'm just going like day one. I'm just gonna be guaranteed gold, and I will probably stay that way for until I feel like people are not splitting anymore. Which
Okay,
might happen
noted.
later.
Whenever I queue with Dishsoap, I'm splitting every time.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, because then like whoever watches this will do that as well, and then all of you will have to split.
True, true, true. In that case, if I'm going up against TFTAcademy viewers, I'm taking like guaranteed every single time. But against Dishsoap, you split every time. I think it's funny. I wonder if there's like a little bit of intel with that.
Oh yeah,
Like
I
you
mean like
understand what lobby you're in. If you're playing in a tournament, you know what
yeah
lobby you're in.
yeah like if you can actually scout the players, because like for example like Phoenix on PvE has 100% split rate, so you can so like if Phoenix is in your lobby and then someone else calls split, you already know like what it's looking like.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like Solus like also always splits. So like I've had a game with like Phoenix Solus, and then someone else calls, and then you're like, okay, if that's 3 people on split, and then it's like it's only worth it if like it's only worth it at 3, so I'll just take guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. I like that. Playing the player as well. That's
Yeah.
actually one of the more interesting playing the player moments in TFT.
Okay, so like I actually like this, and I think it's good for the game, but I don't like adding more gold to the game. But like, there's no way to do this outside of gold. So like,
Yeah.
I don't like adding more gold to the game, but I think this is. I mean, I think this is pretty fun. I like I like when this happens, but I don't like having more gold in the game. So
What if they did the other way? Take away gold. That'd be sloppy.
they I don't think they're ever gonna do something where it like hurts the player.
Yeah, that's true. They don't want the players to have a bad experience.
They did do the -10 on powder, which was. I mean, I don't know if it's a controversial take, but I think that's a good thing. Loki.
Ooh,
Okay.
interesting.
Well, I actually don't think it's good when it's like tied to a random effect. I think it's like good if like you play around it.
Yeah, I do like these trade-off decisions. I think they're interesting. I love that it brings the social element a little bit back into TFT. I know that you don't have to. I know a lot of people don't want to play TFT to be social, but I do enjoy the gaming experience it creates around it. It's very, very funny. And what I like is that it like makes people like not deafen because you have to like interact with the chat. I think it's fun. I think it's funny. At
Yeah.
least on PB. It's probably going to become pretty cringe later on as people get sweatier with the set, but for now, it's pretty fun.
I mean, just take guaranteed ban. Like it's fine. I don't think you have to.
Yes,
stress
you
about it.
definitely should. If you're in my lobbies, take guarantee, you guys. It's guaranteed. Carousel hacks, extra loot on the carousel or instead of champions. You'll see anvils, components, training dummies, artifacts, etc. This is actually a callback to set 8.5, where like the carousels were glitched. So kind of bringing that back as well. This is just pretty much extra resources. There's like the thing about this is that there's almost like no way to play around it.
I've never seen anything besides just extra components.
Oh, well, there's like duplicators. Sometimes there's just the straight up anvils, like they're just item anvils.
Oh, I've seen the anvils. Yeah, I've seen the
Yeah.
anvils. I mean, I haven't minded this too much. I think the other ones are just rare because I've legit only seen like anvils and components.
The
So
most common that I've seen is items, but I also seen the mini duplicators. This is good for like reroll 3 costs and stuff
sure,
like that.
I don't mind them that much. In set 9, when it was like a rating on the unit, it was just like or like an artifact on the unit. That was probably the worst encounter in the game, just with how punished you got if you were win streaking. But yeah, there's nothing that egregious here because I think okay, I haven't seen artifacts. If it's random artifacts in all the units, like if it's not anvils, it's troll. But if it's anvil, it's fine. Like
It's anvils, I think.
okay.
It's an artifact anvil with something floating on top of it.
Yeah,
So like a bow or
that is completely reasonable. It's not reasonable if it's just like, oh, your last pick. Here's your like trench coat or whatever.
here's your mogul's mail.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, hacked orbs. After killing PV mods, you get a hacked green orb that can drop either health, unstable components, hacked eggs, or lots of loot.
This one is a bit problematic right now at the highest level because currently you don't have to pick up the orb, and this is relevant because some of the times it's HP. So technically, it's like optimal for like you to wait to see if someone else takes it. And then if it's like health, you're not supposed to take the egg to get carousel prio. Like there's some giga sweats on PB that'll just be like full win streak and like, oh, they're not even last pick. Because of this. They said they're gonna force you to pick up the HP, but they might not have it at launch, so it might be pretty cringe at the start.
Yep. You're gonna tune into Ditto stream and there's gonna be a giant green orb just sitting in the middle of the board.
Yeah, and the thing is like depending on the angle you travel back to your board, sometimes your little legend will just pick it up, but sometimes it won't, and I have no idea the reason for that is. I think it
Oh,
might.
yeah. Because you know what the tech is?
Yeah.
I'm about to add another
Oh,
layer
please,
to
please,
it.
please, please.
The tech is for you to look at someone else's board. So you travel there
Uh.
instead of travel back. I mean, because the way
Oh,
it
oh,
works is
yeah,
just
yeah, 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 'cause you
you
oh, okay.
teleport, so you avoid
Yeah,
that.
okay, okay. Well, I'm back then, 'cause I thought okay, yeah, good, good. That's actually a good tech.
Yeah. So yeah, well,
But yeah, I mean, I really
it
hope they
sounds
fix this
silly.
soon, 'cause I am going to min-max this. It is going to be cringe, and I would rather not do this, and I would
Yeah.
rather not everyone do this, but, hey,
Um,
I'm gonna do it.
I'm imagining a lobby where all 8 players just keep
I
a
know,
backboard.
like, no one picks it up.
It's just
Yeah.
like 4 items.
Yeah, or it's like 10 gold or something, and no one's making econs 'cause
Yeah.
everyone wants the carousel prio.
Oh my god.
But, like, I'm sure someone's gonna pick it either on accident or, like, they're just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
super lazy.
Surely. I actually like the unstable components. It actually adds a lot of elements of itemization decision making.
I will say, I don't think the unstable components should roll when you immediately get them.
Oh, yes, yes, on creep rounds. Yeah.
I think it is like, the timing when it drops, you, like, don't really have that much time to, like, know if you wanna keep or reroll the components, and it could lead to some pretty bad experiences. So, yeah, I don't think they should roll immediately.
Yeah,
Which is
agreed.
another reason you should maybe not pick up the orb, because if you pick it up at the start of
Oh,
the next
that's
round,
true, yeah.
you pick it up at the start of the next round, you, get, like, more time.
You shouldn't pick it up. If you were to pick it up after the PV round's over.
Well, the thing is, like, it can I don't think you can get units on 2-1, but, like, on, like, on Krugs or something, you can get dropped a bunch of gold,
Yeah,
and
like
then
the,
you
like,
might
10 orbs or whatever.
yeah, and then, like, losing econ's real bad. So it's,
Yeah, it's
like, a
true.
trade-off, and you have to be, like, if you're really trying to min-max it, you have to, like, be super heavy scouting. I just hope they fix this, 'cause I just wanna pick up the orb
Agreed.
now.
Agreed. They need to fix it. All right. And with that, that is all of the encounters, at least so far. They knowing right, they'll probably add more. And if so, we'll revisit the topic and
Yep.
maybe talk about some of the things that have changed. But I think that's a pretty good stopping place for this show. Let's do a quick question and answer from some of our fans. The first is from Plasma. How does one actually go about learning the set? So I think some people just want to hear once again, what is your methodology when you're approaching the set Dishsoap and learning a set for the first time?
I just go into a game and just try to, like, fit boards together with their traits and stuff, and just be very observant of the thing. But, like, I mean, I don't know if this is a good advice for everyone. I feel like the best way to, like, quickly, like, get good at the set and, like, continue to be good is just to, like, learn, like, 2 of the best comps at launch and just spam them, and then you'll
Just one drink something.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, personally, how I learn the sets is I just, like, go into the games and, like, try to build boards with the traits that fit together, and try out augments that force me to play stuff.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I would say that the first thing to do would be to load up a game and just commit to the first thing that you can see that is usually trait based. And so if you load up and it says, gain an Anima Squad emblem, just click the Anima Squad emblem and just try to find all the Anima Squad units, use things like the team planner and build your experience off of that. I think that if you're not like super well versed in TFT, I actually think that repetition is usually the fastest way to learn. And so if you're a person, especially if you're a little bit tight on time, I think hyper roll is really efficient. So you can just not even worry about like the econ, but just like build boards, learn what the units look like, and just by playing, you get more games per hour. And so I did that for a couple sets when I was like low on time, especially when my son was being born. It was like hard to get games. So like just to get the sheer volume of like learning what units look like, especially because some units look really hard to like differentiate. I'm thinking about Twitch and Warwick that one set where they were both like
Yeah.
frost units, and I was just like, what the heck's going on here?
The
Um,
nitros are kind of bad with it, the set, but they're not nearly as bad as Twitch Warwick.
yeah, yeah.
That one was
Um,
just like,
yeah.
I don't even know how that happened at Riot, but
It's because there's like a skin line,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, they're just like trying to make it all work. And I mean, it for them, they're so deep in it, right? Because when they're making it, they already know what it looks like, and they played it so much that they've kind of lost sense of what it was like the first time they look at it.
I went to Worlds. I said I got confused at Worlds between those two. It didn't matter. It was just like a 5-second thing that happened in the planning phase. It's like, oh shit, that's a Twitch.
You clicked the wrong unit in the team planner.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's something you like. They were so similar. It's not you just couldn't really get used to them. I just looked at the words.
Yeah. Well, either way, get those reps in, and just make sure to be very deliberate. You have to understand these are practice games. Yep. Read the units. I can't even emphasize it enough. A lot of people play units and say, "I don't know what anything does," and they don't read the units. Just read, go about it, and then honestly, just use TFT Academy. We distilled everything that's important into a digestible format. There's a reason why we had this website. It's because you can use it and just look at what's important and build off that knowledge from there. We get the most core elements of what you need for each comp. And from there, you'll like learn through experience repetition of like how to actually master the comp. For the most part, it should get you there. So a nice little ad there at the end.
Yeah, what an accurate description.
All right. So that does it for us for this episode. We'll tackle more questions next time. We'll see you guys post-launch. We'll be playing in the box bootcamp. At least I signed up and I'll be playing. Did you sign up for it this time, Dishsoap?
Yeah.
All right. You're gonna win. You've won it before, right?
It was actually a long time ago since I won it.
Okay.
I won a 9.5.
Okay. But you did win it before.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like maybe I could. Or I mean, I definitely could win, but it's just like not. I don't know. It's not something I really care that much about. I'll be honest.
You need to pace yourself. I think you learned a lot from set 11 when you won Worlds and how you approach set 12. There's a lot of stress from just like not being able to unwind. So I feel like you can take your time on this one.
You know, in set 13, I was stuck in diamond for 4 days, like the set.
Set 13? Wait, you were stuck in diamond?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean,
I was like the lowest LP of Macau, basically.
Wow, maybe that's part of the lucky charm. Maybe it kicked your ass in the gear because you're like, I can't be this.
I mean, that's actually true.
I like it. Okay, well, you can catch Dishsoap and I streaming the boot camp. You can come cheer for us, and also check out all the cool new stuff. We have something new coming to TFTAcademy. If you haven't heard, we got guides on our website that's coming soon, and it's not just guides on like comps, but also guides on concepts, on theories, on augments, on items, very specific stuff. I know Dishsoap wrote a post about Rageblade. I put up something like Trait Tracker and how to help you get through those situations. So just check out our guides over at TFTAcademy.com. Go to the guides button next to tier list and check out all the other stuff too. If you haven't also heard, we have an item tier list. We got augment tier list. We got study hall. We got so many cool things working on it. TFTAcademy.com.
You know what I should do tomorrow? Those things.
Yeah, let's make sure those are all up to date for launch.
Yeah.
All right. From Frodan and Dishsoap, this has been Study Hall. Catch you guys next time.
All right.